who are we targeting with this app or this website? They have to think through their expectations. Okay, like what is the vibe? Like what's the feel that I want for this website? What do I want someone to feel and know and do because they came and like, used my app or like
Right.
looked at my website? And so like I think titles might change, I think roles might change, but that like approach of like thinking through things from a user's perspective, from like a person's perspective, continues to be really valuable. And
Hmm.
perhaps I wouldn't say even more so, but like just as valuable as ever.
Yeah. I would argue more so, but I'm biased because, I have that background in psychology, and I always feel like people should be the center of where technology is, that it should serve
Yeah.
us and not the other way around. And something
Hmm.
you mentioned too in your process of like, yeah, you can create an app with these cool tools like Claude or Codex or Cursor, things like that. Um, but you risk having that lived experience that a designer would have with those discussions of the users, right? Like users being people who interact with those applications or interfaces. So
Yeah.
without that experience integrated into the design of the apps, it might look cool, but functionally, how does that influence that experience?
Um, can you maybe rephrase that question? I just want to make sure that
Yeah,
I'm speaking to it
yeah,
well.
yeah, you're good. So like we talked about how design you can do anything with an AI powered tool. It'll yield
Mm.
something that looks pretty polished for the most part, but functionality wise, like can it still function as it would if we had actually taken time to do the research and design process that carries those lived experiences from your interactions with the people who use the tool?
Yeah. I think it's sort of like a double-edged, I don't know what the right metaphor is, but I think there's like two aspects
Double-edged
to this.
screen.
Yeah, I guess. Like on the one hand, like because AI, when it's coding up an app, it's pulling from all of these existing code bases that are like public, like on GitHub or other places. And
Hmm.
some of those are good, some of those are bad. So like it's kind of a crapshoot. Like sometimes like AI codes stuff up and it does things I wouldn't have expected it to do. Like it wires up like the page is accessible like from the get-go. That's not a given like when someone's making an app from scratch.
Hmm.
But to your point about like, you know, like looks versus functionality, like one of the things that really differentiates an app that was rushed out the door from an app that was really carefully considered is that what happens when it breaks? Like what happens when users do
Mm.
something you didn't expect? Or what happens when, it can't, there's like some sort of back end issue. Like all of those like failure states and off the beaten path kind of edge cases, like those don't always get addressed when you're just making a boilerplate app in an AI
Mhm.
coding tool. And that's not to say that you can't get to a really good place like with an AI coding tool, but at some point you need to like if no one tests that app to find those like edge cases or to find the places where it fails, like those won't get fixed. And so
Mhm.
um yeah, like it's definitely a balance, like there's so much benefit to like these AI coding tools. It's sped people up in really amazing ways. And like it's easy to think it's a silver bullet when it's not. And then the more you
Right.
dig, the more you can realize like, oh, okay, like we need to go a little deeper here. I feel like I've seen a lot of memes where it's like the first output when you like ask an AI to make an app for you is you're like the
Yeah.
first reaction is like this is incredible, and then like 10 hours later and like hundreds of dollars later you're like it's still not, like you've been trying to get it to change like the timing on an animation for the last hour and like you're just out
Yeah.
of juice. So like it's
Oh
really,
my
I
gosh.
guess all this to say is like it gets you to a starting place a lot faster than you used to be able to, but it's like those details and getting like that last 10 to 20% right that becomes a little more of a challenge if you don't actually understand code or if you don't aren't doing the work necessary to find those things.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like you have to have a combination of both, like using your lived experience and that contextual knowledge of your interactions with users to inform how you use these tools to build, whether that be prototypes or actually the whole app itself. You need a holistic view.
Yeah.
And what you said too about like you find out if things don't work through user testing. And I'm just wondering like if I'm a listener right now and I know of like apps that need work, how do you as an everyday person get involved if it's like, hey, I wish somebody could hear out my pain point about this thing. I wish somebody would fix it. How does that happen? Like how does it land into your work queue?
Yeah. For me at Lucid, like most of it is there's a few different channels. Like we have a lot of customer facing teams who work directly with some of our bigger customers, and they field a lot of questions and get a lot of feedback, and then they'll pass that directly on to our team and we'll prioritize it. Another channel is like Lucid has a community page where anyone can get on there, create an account, and post questions or feedback or ideas they have. And that gets sent to like kind of a backlog that we have and gets assigned to teams, and then we prioritize that.
Hmm.
Um, and then also things come up in user interviews. Like we'll be like, for instance, I'll regularly talk to users about things that I'm designing or things we're working on. And other things will often come up as part of that, things that I'm not looking for necessarily. And so I'll make a note of that. And I've been at Lucid long enough, I kind of know generally who's working on what, and so I can send that over.
Hmm.
At bigger companies, though, like, I was listening to an interview with a designer at Anthropic, and she was saying, like, they look at Twitter or X, sorry, they look at X because people often, like, at them on there and say, like,
Yeah.
hey, this is broken, or like, hey, this is a cool use case I found, or like, um, this is kind of messed up that you're letting people do this. Like, so they
Yeah.
see it, they get a lot of feedback on X, and that's like another kind of channel where they get feedback from. And so there's things coming from a lot of different directions. Um, but at the end of the day, they all kind of get filtered and um, put onto like specific teams' roadmaps, or like, they have lists of things that they're trying to get done, and we'll
Yeah.
prioritize things according to business needs and
Hmm.
frequency, or like how big is the pain. There's different ways that we prioritize things, but that's generally how it goes. So if you have something that you're like, this is a problem with my app, like go on with their forum, go on like their customer support. Like if it's a good reputable company, they will generally look at that and take it seriously.
Hmm. Yeah, I once knew someone who I don't know if they actually did it, but they said that they would see if they could search a UX person on LinkedIn to tell them personally about their experience. And I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. I have not
Yeah,
tried it myself. I don't know
I
how that would
won't.
be received, but
Yeah, I won't necessarily endorse that, but yeah, if it gets to that point, like go for it.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's good stuff. So it helps to know that like even if you are the everyday user, you're not necessarily in the tech bubble, there are outlets for you to have your pain points be heard from somebody in the team. And that could be being a squeaky wheel online on any of the social media forums or finding that organization's community page. Um,
Hmm.
the next thing I wanted to ask you is like, so now that everything's being rapidly produced with AI, what is something in an app that feels like a small detail, but it actually takes a lot of time to get right? And this can be with or without AI. I just wanted to hear your take on that.
Yeah. Um, so I mean, going back to like error states, like those seem like a given, like when something goes wrong, you get a little message that pops up. But when that's like a good experience, that's something that takes a lot of consideration. Um, so I would say error states are one thing. Loading states is another. Like, I mean, we're talking about AI tools, and so that comes to mind a lot. Like, there's a lot of like micro states. Like when you send AI a chat and like I've been thinking about this because I've recently been working on this, like for Lucid's like AI experiences. But when you send AI a chat, like there are a lot of like different indications as to like what it's doing behind the scenes and like giving you feedback along the way that like, okay, it's still working, it's working on my thing. And kind of doing that progressively, like that takes a lot of time and consideration. One thing at Lucid that I worked on that people might not assume took that long, but it was like a really big long project, was the shadows on the sticky notes.
No way. The
Yeah.
shadows.
So in
Oh,
Lucid
that's
Spark
interesting.
and Lucid Chart, when you drag out a sticky note, there's like a shadow under it that kind of makes it look somewhat realistic, you know, like it's actually a sticky note pasted on a board. Yeah, that was like a multi-month project to figure out like the right shadows, and like, you know, the first iteration people hated, like they felt like the top was peeling up because like we had made some adjustments, and like yeah, it was a lot of little adjustments, a lot of like back
Yeah.
and forth with Eng, making sure everything worked the right way. And that's something you probably wouldn't realize was like a big thing.
Yeah. No, I wasn't. I was going to say, in my mind, I was thinking like, you know, when you enter your password and some places don't have a place for you to say show password, you just
Yeah.
know that you put your password, but you can't see what you put in, and then it has the
Mm,
audacity to say, hey, try the password again, and it's like the same one I entered, and now it works. So
yeah.
I thought that would be something that takes a long time, but that's so interesting to hear about the shadows. Just out of curiosity, what would happen to the experience for a user if little things like that were not something that were prioritized? Like, why is something as small as a shadow or as small as like showing the password or error messages
Yeah.
so important?
Um, so error messages are important. I mean, a lot of it kind of comes back to trust. Like when you're using a product, I think we've probably all had experiences using like free products on the internet, and you just know they're like scraping your data behind the scenes and doing sketchy stuff because of like, and there's a lot of things, there's like lots of ads, like kind of like weird like patterns where it's wanting you to click one place, but then that does like download some sort of thing that you weren't expecting. Anyway, so there we've all had that experience, and like all those little things on those sites really erode trust, and you're like, okay, this is like not a website that I want to like trust with my data or like use unless I really have to. On the flip side though, like when there's clarity and
Mhm.
when something fails and it communicates with you about why it failed and what you can do to fix it, like those things add up over time and enable you to trust the product more and rely on it more. Um, and I think the shadows in their own little way do that as well. You know, like it adds a little polish. It makes it feel like, okay, someone considered this. It's like a little delightful, like, oh, cute. It's like a real sticky note. Like, um, so there's like a delight aspect to it as well. And it kind of all adds up to making a product that feels more trustworthy and like something that someone put time into.
Yeah, I'm never gonna look at those shadows the same way again. I always appreciated it, but knowing that that was such like a major thing, like I'm gonna go brag to everyone about everyone look at the shadows. But
Yeah.
man, that is so interesting because you're right. Like it's those tiny things. It's kind of like when you walk into a new store or something and you have somebody greet you and somebody show you, hey, here's this, and it's
Hmm.
personalized to maybe your community. Like right now, it's World Cup season, so everything has a little
Hmm.
bit of World Cup everywhere, and that's that experience of like, hey, you're here, you're experiencing this big thing with us. And in Lucid, it's different because with the little shadows, as small as it is, of that feeling of delight, it adds to like I'm collaborating with somebody. I added to somebody's idea so much so that I can see it floating over their idea with that little
Hmm.
bitty shadow. So little
Yeah.
tiny things like that, like we as users don't typically see it that way. Um, Kind of goes into the next question of like sometimes when people are frustrated with an app, it does not Lucid, but with an app in general. Sometimes when people are frustrated with that, would you say that this is like what percentage of that time is it a user error or is it like a design? In your experience of all your design experience, what does that look like?
I mean, I don't actually really believe in user error. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I guess there's a spectrum, but like I do think most of the time, like when people are frustrated, it is a failure of the design. Um, and it might not be like a large scale failure, but it's like a failure for that person. Like
Mm-hmm.
something about the way they saw it, the way their mental model works, they did not understand
Yeah.
that this is how you're supposed to do this flow, or like this is how this app works. Um, and that's one of the hard things about the job is like you have to make decisions that work for hundreds, thousands, millions of users,
Yeah.
or, and that means that like it's never going to be the perfect thing for every user.
Right.
Um, but you know, if AI has anything to say about it, that might change. Maybe everyone's going to be able to make their own UIs and customize their apps in whatever way they want in the future. It's going to be interesting to see how
Right.
that goes. But at least for
Yeah.
now, like you have to, it's sort of a one size fits all thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that way, like I think I mean, and it's probably my bias, but I think the onus is on us as like people who build products to make them intuitive and to make them uh, easy to navigate and understand. And so that's
Yeah.
what I mean when I say I don't really believe in user error. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it discourages people from, you know, adopting technology when we like shame them because they don't understand how to use it.
That's a really good point, honestly. And like I just love everything you said about that. First you started with like I don't believe in user, really bold statement, but then you paired it with because it could be a spectrum. Because again, you can't account for millions of users. You can account for like the people in between the average user.
Hmm.
But then there's instances where the user error, let's say it's an accessibility thing, at that point, like what you just said, is the designer failed because it's like, hey, I should have considered this specific set of users in addition to my average user. So if I build it for
Hmm.
this niche set of users who has specific needs, it might be easier for everyone else to benefit from that. And I think that's
Hmm.
critical because um, a lot of times you get caught up in the work and accessibility is one of the last things people think of, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you drew it back to, hey, that's accountability on design and builders that we need to be more cognizant about. And I just appreciate that statement so much.
Yeah, I love mentioning accessibility in that context because it's very true. Like, oftentimes, like designing things for people who, whether it's like different abilities or age or whatever the factor is, like designing products for people who maybe are not traditionally really like tech savvy or um, it makes it easier for everyone to understand. Like, have you ever used like the Uber, like, I forget what they call it, if it's like Uber for seniors or something, but there's like a toggle in settings where you can like toggle into a simplified version of the Uber app that was like
Oh,
specifically
I
designed for
I have
seniors.
not.
Um,
Okay.
it's so
Oh, I use
delightful.
Lyft,
It's
but
so much. Oh,
yeah.
okay. It's just like,
D-
I think it's a better app experience for everyone, just to like reduce the cognitive load, um, and make it a little simpler. So, and then
yeah.
accessibility too. Like, there's a lot of accessibility things that improve clarity for everyone. So, yeah, amen to everything you said.
I mean, I just had to see it for myself, and wow. I agree with what you just said. Of it's like it's so much easier to see just two big buttons that say book me now as soon as possible or later in the future. And it's simple as that.
Yeah.
Just that's what I need to get booked. I don't really
Hmm.
need to be like, oh, I need an extra long car or extra large, sorry, extra
Yeah.
large car and stuff like that. Some people just need a ride and just need to get to the point. So I love that focus on let's build for this niche set of people so that it benefits everyone else. I do have follow-ups to that because so many
Yeah.
people, when they hear accessibility, it's hard to understand what that looks like in the digital world. And if you had to pass on key things that you've learned by working on accessibility in the digital space that you'd like to share with others, what would those key things be?
Yeah, well, first off, I don't claim to be an expert here. We have a few designers at Lucid who like really specialize in accessibility, and everything I know I owe to them. Um, but one of the things that was really helpful for me to understand was just how many pieces of technology or products came about because people were designing for people with accessibility needs. Like I know different people have different preferences. I always watch TV shows and movies with captions because like especially modern movies
Same.
and TV, like the audio mix is such that like you can it's hard to understand like what people are saying a lot of the time. That came about because of people who are hard of hearing. Like we wouldn't really have need or have captions necessarily, but they're things that benefit a lot of people who aren't hard of hearing. Another example that a designer on my team likes to use is like the OXO brand. Like they make a lot of like kitchenware, like whisks, and but it was started because I can't remember if it was the founder or one of their relatives like had uh, like a condition that made their hands shaky. It was I think they had arthritis maybe, and it was hard for them to grip things. And so they made this line of kitchenware with like really like easy to grip handles and like with made with arthritic people in mind. And wouldn't you know it, it's easier for everyone to use when it has a bigger
Hmm.
handle. So just a couple examples there. Whether yeah, lots of things that started out um, as a way to make things more accessible for people with different abilities that end up benefiting
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, that closed captioning, I'm not, I don't know. Well, maybe I shouldn't speak too soon, but as far as I know today, I'm not super hard of hearing. Maybe in the future someday I might be, but I do appreciate those captions because when you're eating chips,
True.
you cannot hear
Yeah.
anything. So, so that's super helpful. One other thing I wanted to ask about is so like you have so many gems that you've dropped right now, like just the importance of human-centric design. Like yes, AI can help you get there faster, but lived experiences are still going to be necessary in that design work. You touched on accessibility. If you build with that in mind first, it's automatically going to benefit any other user that follows. And now I just
Hmm.
wanted to touch on a little bit about your background. So, for those who are interested in, like, hey, I would like to explore this as a career, but I don't necessarily, I didn't go to school for design work or human computer interaction. And, like myself, I studied psychology. I didn't really study engineering, but I ended up in a space where I work very closely with engineers. And you studied sociology, so I kind of wanted to understand how does that lens shape the way you approach design work?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I think the most direct way that it shapes my lens is just that sociology is all about understanding humans in context of their society or like so whether that's families or groups they're a part of or any kind of demographic um, designation uh, and like I think that's a really important way to approach technology. Like nobody's using your app in a bubble, like understanding like the context in which they live, like how that informs the way they view a piece of software or an app that they're using. Like and this is maybe like bordering on like anthropology, but just there are a lot of examples of like things that people did that that work in the US that like, don't work internationally because of certain like cultural differences. Or I'm just thinking about like the difference between like British English and American English, like it can lead to some funny like misunderstandings, like if you use the wrong words. Or even colors, like color has different semantic meaning in different cultures. And so like just that lens of like understanding, okay, this person uses the app that I'm working on, and like this is what they do in it. I think it can also be really helpful to like go broader than that and understand like, okay, like what's their background, what's the culture like at their workplace, what's the culture where they live, and how does that inform the way that they approach technology.
Yeah, I think that's super important is having that humanities background because again, you're thinking not just about like, here's how it functions, but in the context of that person's lived experiences. They're trying to fill a role for something, then you kind of need to understand how they navigate in that role in general to understand what they need to navigate on that screen. So
Mm-hmm.
really cool that you're able to bridge the gap with that background. So we have a few minutes left. With the remaining time, do you want to walk us through what it's like to see something that has poor design and just kind of do a voiceover? I can pull up a link. I think you shared one with me, Mid Valley.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this exercise is essentially just kind of like critique a site, like kind of point out like where design can break down. And I want to preface this by saying like I'm going to be using the government website for the city where I live, which is Midvale, Utah. This is not any sort of slight on my town or the people who made this website. Like, as I think we all know, like governments work with like really limited resources, and but it is a particularly painful example because government websites are websites where there's not really an alternative. Like if you don't like the
Mm-hmm.
user experience design of DoorDash, you can just use Grubhub or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But for like my city's website, I don't have an alternative, and I kind of need it to like find information about when garbage day is and like how
Mm-hmm.
to like request a permit for something. So I think it's a good example in that way. So let me see if I can share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, it's gonna make me accept. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna make me quit and reopen. Are you already like, have you given it
Yeah,
permission? Like, do you wanna, I'm just gonna
I
look at
can
the home page.
I can share my screen. Let's do that. So
That would be
let
helpful.
me,
Thank you.
yep, of course. Let me pull that up real quick. Share my screen. Sharing screen, allow everything, my entire screen. Do you see anything on your screen?
Yep, I'm seeing that.
Okay. Okay, so we're looking at the midvale.utah.gov site. And again, this is for learning purposes. We appreciate all the designers that worked really hard on this, but there's always room for improvement, and that's what we're doing today so that we can understand better the field of design.
Yep. Okay. So looking at this website, at first glance, it's like not too bad, like I like that it's got the photos in the background, like showing, like it kind of like gives you a sense of like what's the vibe in Midvale City. Got lots of cool murals on our main street. But then I want you to hover over one of those. You look at the top, it's like that's probably like navigation. I want you to hover on one of those. So yeah, look at like I want to.
Okay,
Like hover
so
over
I'm
there.
navigating under a banner that says I want to, and like a bunch of menus pop up under
Yeah,
at least one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight different categories.
yeah. So it's a lot to parse and like there's different amounts of research on this, but like generally it's kind of understood that humans kind of like drop off after like 4 to 6 items. So
Mm.
um,
And the one
it's
item
gonna
that
be,
stood up is like I could find my grandma here. Grandma.
yeah, because it's capitalized.
Right.
Um, so yeah, nav is kind of difficult, but then it looks like there's also like a search bar in the middle of the page. So
Yeah.
you can like say how you want them to assist you. And like, because I've got like an AI background, I'm like, is this like an AI thing? Can I, it's like a Midvale City chatbot. But then there's also a
Oh.
search on the right, so like what's the difference there? And why are there two?
Oh, snap. I didn't. Okay, yeah, I didn't. And then when you click on the one on the right, I would expect something to happen, and nothing's happening. I'm just clicking and
Oh
clicking.
shoot. Okay. Um, and while we're over there, you'll also notice like, there's a slideshow in the background and like you can, so if you like hover, oh,
I just pressed the
there
down button and it took me there. I'm going back.
we
Oh,
go. No
I guess
worries.
I'm not. I guess I'm not. Okay, here I am.
So as you can see, when you hover on the background, there's that arrow on the left that you
Mm-hmm.
can like switch between photos in the slideshow. But where's the one on the right? It's under that
Yeah.
menu. So if you scroll down, you
Oh
can
my
get it, but when
gosh.
you're like just get to the page, like there's no way to access that.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so I would say like the main issue here is there's not like I think things are not like it's not bad. Like like it's
Mm-hmm.
good that they're not showing everything. Like if they were showing all those menus like up front, that would be like pretty bad. Um,
Yeah.
but
And
I
then when you
think there is
hover,
more.
oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I was just gonna say, like, you're right. Like, even so, I hover under I want to, and there's a bunch of things there. When I hover under the other ones, it's less things, but still so many things out
Mm-hmm.
for each one of these categories. I also don't know what's on this top right. Like, I guess I could translate it to different languages, and then I have
Mm-hmm.
no clue what this little green box is. I know that one, and I guess it's a different logo today, but the Twitter logo is there, Facebook logo is
Yeah.
there, and the circle dude is there too.
Yeah. One other thing you'll notice at the very top, they have that banner that like is informing you about the red banner at the very top. It's informing you
Mm-hmm.
the main
Mm-hmm.
street is closed, which is great. Like it's
Mm,
nice to have that on the home page.
right.
But then the X button is like I can't really tell that's an X because
Right,
the
I didn't
contrast is
know.
pretty bad between
I
the
didn't
X
know
and the
that until you
background.
pointed it. Yeah. So contrast is important because of like let's say if I had a color blindness or something and I couldn't I mean even if I don't have a color blindness, I cannot see that that's an X. I have to squint or like
Yeah.
look really closely at it. Um
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that
important for people with like poor eyesight, but even if you have like a crappy monitor, like
mhm.
sometimes like a cheaper monitor won't like render color the way that you expect it to.
Yeah.
So having like ample contrast is important there.
Mhm.
So um, all of this kind of adds up to me, and like I come to this page, I have a specific thing that I need. I do like that there's that search bar there. So I can kind of skip all of that. If I have
Yeah.
something that I know that I want, I can just type that in there. Hopefully it finds it. Yeah, let's do a
There it
little test.
goes. Found my
Okay,
grandma
that's pretty cool.
records. Yeah, let's see what else. Let's search for graffiti. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Yeah, I think I did. Oh no, I
I
didn't.
also don't know how to spell graffiti.
No, I didn't spell it wrong. It just didn't search for I
Maybe
gotta go
search
deep.
like, okay, yeah.
Crime. No crime
How
to be
about
found in Midvale.
like building permit?
Okay,
Okay, there we go.
something popped up.
Building is safe.
Okay. That's nice that it's right.
So
If I'm searching for information, it's right in the center, but also it's like I kind of need it to be there because it's everywhere. But
yeah,
I just feel like it's a lot. It is a nice site. I love the colors. I love how everything pops, but it is a lot going on.
yeah. It just
Yeah.
kind of there's a lot that competes for your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Like the backgrounds are beautiful, but they are pretty colorful. You've got kind of three menus going on. You've got the one at the top, you've got the one on the top right, you've got the one on the right side.
You got the one on the
Um,
bottom,
yeah, you got the one on the bottom.
and then you got more down here.
So I
So,
think the thing that needs to be done here is simplicity. Just like
mhm.
simplifying things, consolidating things where it makes sense.
Is there a site you can think of that does showcase simplicity, or do you want to do another rundown of, because I know that other site I was telling you about also has some things that could use some love in UX design. And I can pull that one up while you think of a better website that has like a good example to follow.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so this is a site called, wait, I can't even type with this one. Conversation Exchange. And way back when, during like the COVID days, when we were all locked up, I was really bored, but I love learning languages. So I came to this site because I heard it was pretty good to find language learning buddies so that we could practice. And I was just thinking, like, when did this site happen? It's a great site. There's so much information there, but as you can see, at the same time, there isn't. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it changed a little bit since I've last been here, but you can see the menu here of the languages. You've got your tutorials and tips, but again, you're still hit with like one menu gives you many, many things here. Let's just see what we can do with Learn with Jokes. So like there's a lot of white space here, which isn't necessarily bad because, simple can be better, but with this, would you say there's something else that could have been improved?
Yeah, I mean, the this honestly isn't bad. Like it just looks old, you know? Like a lot of sites look like this 10 or 20
Hmm.
years ago. I like that, login signups top right. That makes sense. Um, I think the stuff that's not working for me here is mainly like alignment on the body of this page, like the bottom part is center aligned, the top part is left
Yeah.
aligned. That just makes it a little harder to read as you like go down the page.
Yeah, like these are
Um,
squeezed to the left up here, huh? And then this is like
yeah. And like I didn't actually know until you hovered over those that those are like separate from like the home bar,
separate
like
tabs.
it, yeah, like that.
Like one,
That
either
wasn't
was
as
one
clear
big
to me.
one. Yeah.
Like, because I'm guessing it's like the left is primary nav, and then the stuff that's on the top to the right of home is like secondary nav, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not like a great differentiator there. It's all
Right.
just blue background, white text.
Yeah.
And
Let's
this is
look
like a
at
subjective thing, but like the blue also just feels a little bit intense to me.
like it's just too much blue everywhere. It's not there are no complementary colors, no tertiary
Yeah.
colors. Yeah.
Also, this page specifically looks like not HTML. Like it looks like it's a little bit pixely, and
Hmm.
but maybe it is. Maybe it's just like because sometimes on a page like it'll be almost like an embedded PDF, and it's like a little pixelated, and it's like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah. Hey, look,
I
you could advertise here. You could say, hey,
Yeah.
Brendan can fix this page. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that
Uh,
is like a fun like, and I would say for anyone who's like interested in design, like it is really fun to like it's a really fun design exercise and a good way to like see if you actually like it, to find a website or an app that you don't like and try and like think through like how would I make this better.
yeah,
You will often find that it's harder than you think. Like when you're just using it, it's easy to kind of be like, that doesn't make any sense. And then when you think through it, you realize like, oh no, this was considered. There's
yeah.
probably still a better way to do it, but it's not maybe not quite as simple as I initially thought.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun. I think it's fun. It's a lot of problem solving. There's like sort of a like Lego
Yeah,
building block thing element to it. You're trying to kind of make all of these different things work at the same time and balance them, and it's really fun for me.
Yeah, it does feel like, you get the opportunity to kind of break it and then put it back together in a way that makes more sense to you intuitively.
Yeah.
And sometimes by doing that exercise, you actually do make it better for everyone else. And you can turn that
Hmm.
into a portfolio case study. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people get stuck on, I don't know how to showcase my experience. And I was one of those people at the beginning too, because I was like, I can't get experience because I can't get a job to get experience. And then
Hmm.
and then I heard so many people saying like, "Wait, you could just make it up." And I was like, "Wait, what do you mean make it up?" But they're like, "You make it up, but in a wise manner. You don't make it
Yeah.
up like you don't just fake that you are a designer. You make up a case that demonstrates what you know about design." And that's what people mean when they say make it
Hmm.
up. So I love that, you do get the opportunity to mess around with it and kind of see like, okay, this works, this isn't working. Do you have any
Yeah.
examples of sites that you feel did a really awesome job with their design that I can pull up that you could walk us and narrate through your thoughts?
Yeah.
Oops, let me see. I can't find the end screen share, but there we are. Okay, there.
Yeah. Man. I mean, I can think of some like landing pages. Um, Hold on. Yeah, so I mean, landing pages are their own thing. Um, but we can do one of those just to kind of demonstrate that side of design. Do you want to go to anthropic.com?
Yeah, let's do that. Anthropic. I'll go there. Let me reshare my screen. I was also pulling up the Lego site because you started talking about Legos. And I was like, they
Oh, that's
probably
fun.
did do a good site. We could visit that one next. But what do you see on your screen? Do you see Anthropic or Claude?
Um, yeah, I do now.
Okay.
Um, yeah, let's maybe go to the home page, just because maybe that's a little more like
Let me see. I
accessible
thought
for most
I.
people.
Okay, let's see.
There we go.
There we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing to talk about before we dive in here is like different websites, different apps have different intents behind them. And that should map onto like what is like the user of the site or like the person coming to the site. What are they trying to do? In the case of like the Midvale City site, someone's coming there, they probably have a pretty specific thing they need. Like they're looking for like when's like the bulky trash pickup or like how do I get a building permit? And so in that way, like honestly, having that search bar front and center is probably a good idea, like from UX perspective, because it's meeting the user where they probably are.
Mm-hmm.
With the site that you shared, like the purpose of that site is to like learn languages and meet people and like, you know, make connections. As far as like this site, this homepage, it's trying to teach you about Anthropic and it's trying to get you to like use their product and hopefully eventually buy their product.
Right.
And
It's like a
so,
big try Claude button over here.
yeah, so you'll see that big, like, we call that a call to action or a CTA at the top right of the page. And then you can see they've got this big text to the top left. And this really like does a good job differentiating them from, because there's Anthropic, but then there's also OpenAI who makes ChatGPT. There's XAI that makes Grok. There's like all sorts of like AI purveyors right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthropic here is really differentiating themselves as someone that puts safety at the frontier, which is not something that like a lot of the other AI companies lead with.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's actually true is another question, but like
Yeah.
that's at least like the kind of the vibe that they're putting out. And they also like talk about how they do research as well as products, and so they're really differentiating themselves. They're appealing to a crowd that is looking for that. They're looking for like AI with guardrails, AI that's like research backed. And then there's this little tagline over here, AI will have a vast impact on the world. Anthropic is a public benefit corporation dedicated to securing its benefits and mitigating its risks. Again, really appeals to that kind of safety conscious crowd. Also, I'm not seeing like the animation that shows up like as you scroll down. Is that
Yeah, I
not
was
showing up on your
wondering.
page either?
It's,
Oh,
oh,
okay,
now
there
it
we
is.
go.
It took a minute to load. There
Anyway,
it is.
and then as you scroll down, you can see like they've got this cool like thing in the background. But I
Whoa,
think the
that's
nice thing
nice.
on the UX side is they're just showing one piece of information at a time. They're kind of like taking
Mm-hmm.
you through what their mission is, what their goals are, so that you can kind of make a decision. Like, is Anthropic a company that I want to look into more? Is this a product that I want to use based on my values and what I'm looking to do? Um, and then that like button's always there in the top right. So at any point along this flow, like you can see in the scroll bar on the right, this is a pretty long web page.
Oh, yeah, I was just kind of like, what the heck?
Um, so but at any point, if you decide like, oh, actually, I do
I
want to
want to
just,
leave. Yeah,
I do, like, I'm convinced I want to buy it, like that CTA is always in the top right.
right.
So yeah, I think this is a site that like does a good job at like portraying itself the way that it wants to and like connecting with its intended audience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think the way that they present information is pretty glanceable and nice.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very data oriented too. Like they're not trying to
Hmm.
sell you the product because they say it's good. They're showing you the data. And from the very first scroll when you see, it's like, look how many people we've been helping with our product. And then you see the globe turn
Yeah.
colors. And then
Yep.
as you scroll down too, like those charts of like, well, don't take, kind of reminds me of like the Reading Rainbow a little bit. He'd be like, don't take my word for it. Don't take,
Yeah.
and then there's like, here's the data over here. Don't take my word for it.
Yep.
Here's what people had to say and how they're experiencing it. So user, again, voice of the user comes back even at the homepage landing. It's like full circle. We did our research. We know what people want our product for. And now we're going to make sure that our landing page reflects that so that other
Hmm.
like-minded people can come our way. So that's really smart of them to use
Hmm.
it like that. Um, yeah, it's so cool to hear your narration on that. I know we're only 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna selfishly just be like, this Lego page is cute, but we probably won't dive into that. One thing I did want to point out is I love how playful this page is. Like even the sign in and here at the
Yeah.
top left, top right, sorry, has little buttons of Legos and like a little Lego head and just it gets you involved with like I want that right now or I could have that right now and they show you like the cheapest things first, of course, or some of
Wait,
the cheapest things.
that Sega is only $40. That's very tempting.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, look at those water lilies. This and that
Um,
are cool. And
but
this
yeah,
one
it's like
too
very
for
playful, but still
Mhm.
like, true to its Scandinavian origins, like very like sharp and like precise, which is similar to Legos. It's all very like
Yeah.
just so like fits together just like you want it to. So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. This site also does a great job at like the kind of the brand identity comes through. It's pretty easy to scan, and does kind of that dual purpose of like, I mean, because really, like, I think the primary purpose of this page is like they're not trying to like get you to sign up for something. They're trying to get you to buy Legos.
Mhm.
So they
Yeah.
get into it pretty quick.
And they have something for everyone too. Like, I love how in tune they are with, like, hey, it's June, it's Pride Month. Let's make sure that we
Hmm.
show our demographics some love. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And also, just like, for kids, for sports, because again, World Cup season, which, by the
Yeah.
way, there's a game at 6 p.m. I'm gonna watch it.
Nice.
And then, just something for everyone in that reward of like keep coming back. You might be able to get one of these little prizes from us. And like you mentioned, like everything has a purpose, and all of this couldn't be designed without having those conversations with people and those lived
Mm-hmm.
experiences of like what is it that people want in the context of their life, in the context of their work, in the context of whatever it is that they're there for the site. So
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, especially for anyone new to design and interested. If, like, there's a lot of comments talking about design is dead, research is dead, and I'm just thinking, you're dead. Because why? No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't say that. No, but because it's like you cannot have these beautiful, delightful experiences without those processes in place. And no
Mm-hmm.
matter, even if AI is there to speed it up, it's not going to replace those lived experiences that we have as humans. So
Yeah.
with that, I just wanted to give you the mic one last time so you can share some final words. And in the next episode, when you get back, we're going to talk more about the professional experience and like how do you get into like the upskilling? How does it look like to work with AI products? But for now, what are
Yeah.
your final messages to the everyday user about design and all of that?
Yeah. Well, first, I appreciate chatting. It was really fun. And yeah, I think design isn't going anywhere, like whether it's called that or something else or, whatever happens, like, um, people want things that feel human, whether that's, and that kind of goes, obviously UX design is more of a technical field as far as like the arts are concerned, but across all the arts, people want things that are made by humans. At
Hmm.
least I do. And you can feel that like when there's consideration. And yeah, just encourage you to, I guess I would also just leave it with like everyone is a designer, like whether you know it or not. Like you make a PB&J differently than other people do. Like you've designed that peanut butter and jelly sandwich to give you the maximum pleasure. And in that way, like you are a designer. And so lean into your designerness. I think it's one of the things that really makes us human.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And now I want a PB&J. So
Yeah.
with that, thank you everyone for tuning in. We're going to wrap up the stream and tune in next time when Brandon comes back and shares with us what it's like a day in the life of a designer, what it's like building AI products.